Now available on Tata Sky channel number 526.
Hello and welcome to the news here on Magicbricks, now India's first property business channel. First up, a check on all the headlines that we're tracking here. The Real Estate Regulatory Authority bill will be tabled in the Rajya Sabha on Tuesday. Meanwhile, in Maharashtra, the government comes out with rules for its own regulator. Those are our top stories tonight. Uttar Pradesh plans to hike stamp duty by 2% in the already ailing Noida property market, but an online signature campaign started by home buyers is forcing the government to rethink its stand. More polluted lakes in Bengaluru. Morning walkers at Ulsur Lake spot dead fish floating on the green sides of the lake. Will the civic bodies step up and take note? Also on the show, our new series Looking Beyond Metros as the government gives a big push to affordable housing. We tell you which micro markets show promise and which ones don't. In today's show, we tell you all about the Ahmedabad market. You do not want to miss that one. The long-awaited real estate regulatory bill will be listed for discussion on Tuesday. That is what we're hearing at Magicbricks now. We have our correspondent Deepa Rana getting us the latest on that front. Deepa.
Yeah, actually a home buyers association has once again visited the national capital in order to give a final push to the real estate regulatory bill. Now we all know that this bill could not be passed despite being listed twice in the winter session due to the logjam. And this time it is the home buyers again who are pushing for it. They came to Delhi, they met the Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi, M. Venkaiah Naidu in order to garner support for this bill. In fact, the Urban Development Minister today in the Haryana summit also said that the real estate regulatory bill might just become reality in this budget session itself. So it's a good news coming in for the home buyers, but we are also hearing in Delhi that this bill might be tabled tomorrow up for discussion. That is on Tuesday, it might be just tabled for discussion.
All right, Deepa Rana there getting us the latest on the long-awaited real estate regulatory bill. We'll be keeping our eyes on that. Moving on, the Maharashtra government is now one step closer to setting up a housing regulator, and has come out with its own the housing regulator and development rules for 2016, and they largely stay true to the law passed earlier in 2014. However, there is no mention of the escrow account that could have safeguarded home buyers' money. We have Ruchi Deshpande joining us with more details on that front. Ruchi, what shape will this regulator take?
It looks like the Maharashtra housing regulator is one step closer to being a reality. What we heard from sources is that this was to be set up by the Maharashtra government already, but the government is awaiting the union law to be set in place. What we also hear is that the former shipping secretary Gautam Chatterjee has been appointed as the chief of this housing regulator. Now, while the union law is yet to be, while it is awaited, what we do have is the fact that there are rules that have been set already by the Maharashtra government. Let me just take you through them. First off, it is absolute advantage buyer, where the housing regulator will study the application given, will scrutinize it, and will grant and will give it back within 7 days. Moreover, it will also grant an OC or occupancy certificate in case the construction is delayed by the builder to the project. And lastly, it will also cancel the builder's registration in case the documents are found and proved invalid in any court. Now, moving on, the developers also have to adhere to some strict rules in what has been drafted. So first off, the developer has to disclose property detail layout as well as completion plans. All these project details will also, in addition to be submitted, will also have to be put online for public domain on the regulator's website. What's more is that the developers will also have to pay 15% interest per annum on the amount that is refundable to the buyer in case of project delay.
Ruchi Deshpande there with the latest on the Maharashtra housing rules for 2016. Thank you so much for that update. So how much of a boost will this be for builders and buyers? And to understand that better, we have Rohit Poddar, Managing Director at Poddar Developers, joining us live on the phone line. Rohit, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the news and Magicbricks. Now tell us, we are inching closer to a regulator in Maharashtra. Good news for the industry, you'd say?
Absolutely, it is. Unfortunately, we've had thousands of apartments which have been illegally constructed across the state and the city. And ultimately speaking, the people who suffer are not only the customers, but people who actually develop ethically, because there's a big difference in the price. So I believe that this is absolutely the right step in the right direction and long overdue.
All right, Rohit, have you seen these rules, yourself personally? What is your feedback as far as the rules are concerned?
Well, I've actually read it very briefly. I haven't had much time today to actually scrutinize it in depth. But my understanding of it basically was that there were 3 or 4 major salient points. The first being that the plans would have to be put online, obviously approved plans. So this would obviously mean that buyers would actually know exactly what has been approved by the authorities, what can be built, and literally castles wouldn't be built in the air. Second of all, it would obviously mean that developers who weren't telling the truth about their developments, including their amenities, would now be put to book, because things would be very clearly out in the open as to what will happen in the project. Second of all, in the past, developers have taken money out from one project and put it into several others, for whatever the reasons may be. I suppose one of the reasons was that the banks were financing land purchases. So in order to build up their own land banks, developers took out projects from one project into a few others, and this basically caused problems with completing the existing project in hand, and the customers ultimately suffered, and even developers suffered. So
Rohit, the industry had been asking that the government bodies granting approvals also be brought under the regulator's ambit, but that has not happened, has it?
No, I mean, unfortunately, there seems to be a pretty one-sided agreement at this point of time. It's always, when things haven't gone correctly for a long time, it's happened in the past that things have gravitated, the pendulum swung the other way, not being balanced. It's very important that single window clearances actually come in for developers. It actually is a significant cost of doing business. When the government talks about affordable housing, input costs should be looked at in a very serious manner. Both the taxes levied by the government, which in affordable housing, by the way, constitute to more than a third of the actual selling price. That, as well as disproportionate delays in getting approvals, it has to be addressed. I believe the CM is very serious about single window clearance, but it hasn't yet come in.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that it comes in very soon.
Rohit Poddar, Managing Director of Poddar Developers, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the news on Magicbricks Now. Now, we're also being joined now by Magicbricks Now's editor, Fait de Souza, here in the studio. Fait, thank you so much for taking time out this Monday. Tell us, you've seen the rules. Would you say they are fair to the home buyer as well as the industry?
Well, first of all, it's obviously really heartening to see the rules at all, to see that there's movement. We also, like you told us in the beginning of the show, the real estate regulator being listed for discussion in the Rajya Sabha. That's a second very heartening thing for all home buyers across the country. Now, you take a closer look at the Maharashtra rules. One thing's missing, like you pointed out, the escrow account is missing. So for our viewers, what the escrow account is, it just basically mandates a developer to put a portion between 50 and 70. That limit was being, sort of still debated. But a portion of the money they collect towards a building in an account which is used only for construction of that building. That is actually a very, very positive, a very good thing to sort of make sure that there's steady finances coming into construction. That's missing from this particular list. The other thing that's very interesting, 15% per annum is the rate of interest which a developer will have to pay a buyer in case a project is delayed. Now, the current rules, which is MOFA in Maharashtra, the regulation states about 9%. So 15% is much, much better, obviously. So if you're looking at a delayed apartment, there's an interest penalty of 15% per year on the developer for every year that he delays. Here's the other very, very interesting thing. 10% of the apartments in any building cannot be sold until after the developer has got his OC and has got possession. So you can only sell 10% after possession. Now, this basically means that a portion of the profit for the developer is going to be held up by the OC, which means he's going to work that much harder to make sure that the OC is delivered, that the homes are delivered, because only then will he be able to cash out entirely from that project. That's another very, very crucial point that's come in. And of course, we know that the industry had demanded that projects that are already under construction not be brought under the purview of these regulations, but this one does. It brings in anything that's under construction, ongoing, and doesn't have an OC. So all of those projects will have to be listed with the developer, with the regulator.
Faye, even as Maharashtra gears up for a regulator and revamps its entire housing rules, there is the real estate regulatory bill which is set to be passed. Hopefully, gets passed at least at this budget session of the Parliament. Do you see these rules changing once the union regulator then becomes a law?
I think, I don't see them changing very drastically. A lot of them seem in tandem with what the union regulator was looking at. They have, the fact that the escrow account has been left out, that might actually be because we don't know where the union government is going to settle on that percentage I was telling you about. Is it going to be 40, 50, 60, 70% of the money that has to be put in an escrow account? So it's very likely that after union regulator is brought in, that clause can just be added to the rules and regulations that we're looking at right now. So I think that yes, a lot of it is already in line with what the union regulator is thinking. Some of the things that have been left out are in most likelihood going to be added in once the union regulator comes in. And I love the fact that we are saying once the union regulator and not if the union regulator comes in. So it's heartening. We're moving in the right direction, even if it's taken us a little bit of time.
And all these Maharashtra housing rules could set the benchmark then for other regulators as well?
Maharashtra has always set the benchmark for this sort of thing. We had MOFA, which is the first law for real estate and for housing occupation in Maharashtra in the 60s. So we set the precedent, the Cooperative Housing Society bylaws. Again, Maharashtra set the precedent for all of these things because the city of Mumbai has had apartment buildings since the 60s, which none of the other cities had. So I think, yes, it's a great idea for Maharashtra to lead the way on this.
I love the way you say we when it comes to Maharashtra. Faye, thank you so much. Faye, this is Magicbricks' editor. Thank you so much for taking time out to put that news into perspective for us. Moving on, Mumbai civic body. The BMC has a plan that could make your commute faster. However, you might just have to sacrifice traveling by your car for that. The BMC's dual strategy aims to beef up public transport, reduce the use of private vehicles and thus clean up the air in the city. Remember, this comprehensive mobility plan is being drawn up in response to the fires in the Devnar dumping ground that created a public health crisis. Disha Shah, who tracks the BMC, joins us live with details of that plan that we're talking about. Disha, what exactly does the BMC have up its sleeve?
BMC has come up with a plan which will make your travel and commute so comfortable that it could also stop and force you to use your private vehicles while traveling. The civic body has come up with a three-phase plan which is from short to mid to long-term plans which will speed up the public transport within the city and also reduce the number of private vehicles on the road. And for this the civic body will be spending close to 1.55 lakh crore rupees, and they have set a timeline for themselves which is by 2034. Firstly, let's talk about what the comprehensive mobility plan is all about. It is going to implement BRTS in Mumbai by proposing 8 corridors for exclusive bus lanes, which also means that a dedicated lane will be used by BST buses only. Secondly, it is going to construct an interstate terminals, which means that your traveling will become way much easier if you have to travel within the state. Thirdly, it has also proposed to construct truck terminals to regulate flow of goods. Moreover, while traveling, you can also use one card, sort of a smart card system, while using any kind of public transport, be it taxis or be it buses or be it trains for that matter. And secondly, it will also plan to provide commute information on the go, which means that you will have information real time on the go that you can access, which can make your travel plan better. On the other hand, to reduce the use of private vehicles, which in a way is leading to raising an alarming levels, pollution levels in the city, it has proposed stricter action when it comes to parking. It has proposed to regulate higher parking charges across the city. It could also implement odd even plan in Mumbai, which Delhi has already implemented some time back. Secondly, to solve the traffic congestion in the city, it has proposed to restrict registrations of new vehicles after a cutoff date. So all these factors, all these suggestions, all these are just proposals. Of course, it will take some time now for the civic body to prepare a detailed plan along with in coordination with the central and the state government.
Faster commute, cleaner air, those are the big ambitious plans that BMC has. Disha, thank you so much for filling us in on that. All I can say is that my fingers for the moment are just crossed. Moving on. The UP cabinet may review its proposed stamp duty hike following opposition from home buyers. The government had earlier proposed hiking stamp duty on homes by 2% in Noida. This move will put an extra 1 to 2 lakh rupee burden on every home buyer. The Revenue Department is expected to earn an additional 100 crore rupees from the hike. An online petition signed by over 2,500 home buyers in a single day is now forcing the government to reconsider its proposal. Earlier today, we spoke with Amit Chauhan, who started this online campaign. Listen to what he had to say.
So our demand is very simple, that the registration fee, the stamp duty should not be hiked unless the homes are ready. And if the stamp revenue department is at loss, it should be recovered from the developers who are at fault. The buyers are not at fault because they have made their timely payments. The developers are either not constructing, or where the construction have already completed, the developers have taken the money for stamp duty, but they are not getting the flat registered as per the requirement.
The condition of lakes in Bengaluru seems to be worsening by the day. Early in the day, morning walkers at Ulsoor Lake witnessed dead fish floating in the lake's green walkers. Fishes, both big and small, were floating on the lake. My colleague Anusha was at Ulsoor earlier in the day. Let's take a look at what she found out.
This is the sight that residents of Ulsoor in Bengaluru woke up to today. Thousands of dead fish floating on the surface of one of the few surviving water bodies in the city, the Ulsoor Lake. This lake stands in the heart of the city. The stench, of course, is unbearable. Thousands of fish dead are on the surface of this particular lake. While speaking to conservationists, they are of the opinion that contamination and unchecked sewage has led to the situation. What we also spotted was a dead bird. The conservationist who spoke to Times Now is also of the belief that the bird could have died after trying to feed on this dead fish. While the authorities have not come out with an official explanation as to what happened here, conservationists have sent samples of this water to test and find out what really led to the death of thousands of these fish.
Shifting focus now to a Magicbricks Now special, our brand new series, Looking Beyond Metros. Now, you would recall that the Finance Minister announced an additional tax exemption on home loans for first-time home buyers in Budget 2016. This is valid if the home you buy costs under 50 lakh rupees. But where are these homes being built? Magicbricks Now decided to find out starting today. Suyesha Sawant will get you the lowdown on markets beyond metros that hold out the promise of good returns. And today, she breaks down the Ahmedabad market for us. Suyesha.
Now, Ahmedabad, we all know, is the commercial capital of Gujarat, and the city has been growing not just horizontally but also vertically. In the product categories, in the residential space, there's everything from bungalows to twin bungalows, row houses, plotted schemes, farmhouses, etc. But the most preferred category are homes in 2 and 3 BHKs, for which you can look at areas like Memnagar, Sola and SG Highway. In fact, in areas like Maninagar and SG Highway, the average ticket size of homes are between 25 to 40 lakhs. The average price per square foot in Ahmedabad is 3,086 rupees. The city has been seeing a lot of growth due to commercial development owing to IT parks, SEZs and ports, with the Gift City and Metro Link Express for Gandhinagar and Ahmedabad, and the development in the Metro Rail project. Analysts believe that this will add further boost to the real estate market. The biggest pluses of the city include its drainage system, ring road system, BRTS and its stable power supply. And in fact, if the bullet train between Mumbai and Ahmedabad starts, that will reduce the travel time from 7 hours to 2 hours, which will act as a huge catalyst. Now, there are several housing projects which are coming up in areas like Hebatpur, Sindhu Bhavan Road, and also in the 3 to 6 kilometer stretch from Thaltej. Now, Thaltej is currently at approximately 5,000 rupees a square foot. In the affordable range are areas like Naroda, Bapur Nagar, Chandkheda. These range between 2,000 to 2,500 rupees a square foot. And with areas like Bhopal and SG Highway, this is really in the affordable range. Like a 2 BHK apartment in Bhopal will be between 20 to 55 lakh rupees, whereas 3 BHK units will range between 35 to 85 lakh rupees. So on the whole, you can get a lot of supply in the 50 lakh rupee range.
And to understand that Ahmedabad market better, we have Pankaj Kapoor of Liasis Foras joining us live here on the news on Magicbricks. Now, Pankaj, thank you so much for taking time out. Firstly, if I am a first-time home buyer and I have 50 lakh rupees to buy a home, would you recommend Ahmedabad as a market to me? And if so, for what reasons?
Ahmedabad as a market in a time and a space way. Like, if you look at this was a market which was undergoing kind of a prolonged correction. So last 3 years, you see the prices have remained plateaued. Market has been hovering with the kind of inventory. Sales haven't really improved. But last quarters, I'm seeing that the bit of the improvement. The sales also have improved close to 18%. Value of stock sold has improved. There are some new launches into the luxury segment in the city center which has started happening. So I see that there is a sign of recovery in this particular market which is happening. So you have ample land available surrounding the whole city. And along the ring road, the government's promotions for the affordable housing and the way they have increased the FSI will also allow large amount of land availability. Now, in this if you see the things into all the dimensions point of view, one should not really look at Ahmedabad from the point of view very long. Price appreciations market basis. They should consider this is a market which is efficient market, good circular cities. Long-term point of view, one can do an investment.
All right, Pankaj, I wanted to get it more specific over here. What are the areas you would recommend? And, how much appreciation is one likely to see here, say, on an annual basis?
Yeah, the clusters were, if you have to look at the clusters, are mostly into the eastern sides of it. Like around the whole ring road, you would find several clusters. But since the economic hub is developing more on the eastern sides along the SG highways, that is one area where you see the density will continue to be growing. But apart from that, you have got Narol, Naroda, Gota, Bhopal, all these locations. These are the good locations and one can consider. My own sense is that one should not aspire more than 7-8% of appreciation on YOY basis.
Pankaj, all said and done, the biggest problem as far as Ahmedabad is concerned is its job creation. Do you think that that problem will solve itself now?
Problem will solve provided we have more of the tertiary industries coming in. So, if my connectivity to Mumbai improving, which is through bullet train, then I see that the growth will happen more. Otherwise, if you look at this is not a geography which has really produced IT driven population. This is not the geography which has produced financial sectors populations. It has although created good number of stock exchange trader, but actual tertiary segments demand has not really happened, or employment hasn't happened in that particular city. So I think that challenge will continue. This is a city which is where the economy is based on the secondary and the primary market industries, which is manufacturing. So you would not get very high paying demographic in that region. And so my own sense is that though Gift City, Dholera and all those things planned, but the viability of those things is dependent upon its improved connectivity to Mumbai.
All right, Pankaj. I'm afraid we'll have to leave it at that. Pankaj Kapoor, Managing Director of Liasis Foras, thank you so much for taking time out to be this year on the news on Magicbricks now. And with that, we have come to the end of this show. But if you have any feedback or suggestions for us, write to us on the email ID flashing on your screens. We're also on Twitter and Facebook, so feel free to tweet to us or post your query on our Facebook page. We would love to hear from you. Check out our website, www.mbnow.in. We can also access all our shows on our YouTube channel as well, and that is flashing on your screens. The IDs are flashing on your screens as well. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news on Magicbricks. Now, thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.
You can watch live TV on our website mpnow.in. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/magicbricksnow. And don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at magicbricksnow. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/magicbricksnow.